Let's talk about your character. At first glance, it's a fairly straightforward character. He's the bad guy in the piece. How did you approach that part, and how did you humanize him? Because I think that's necessary.
Yeah. Well, I think you invest the character with history, and you endow the character with qualities that go into making what the ideal warrior would be in your estimation. You kind of examine, what I did was examine his motives for becoming a Marine so many years ago before the opening of this film, and then take him on the journey that brings him up to the present to see how he became who he is today. Yeah. And when you do that, I think it adds real depth to the character.
He's actually a tragic character, he's a tragic figure in the piece. He's living in paradise and doesn't realize it.
He's unable to see that because he's so much of his soul has been effectively burned away, I think, and the wounds, the scars have been cauterized and kind of healed over at this point. So he's really unable to appreciate what's around him. His approach, he's become rigid in a place where what's required is flexibility.
Yeah. How much did the scars help you define the character, play the character? Does it help you?
Yes, it's a good question, and I think that they do. What happens is that the scars were acquired on his first day on the planet, and this is after having gone through 3 tours back on Earth, really not picking up a scratch. So that first day on the planet really it teaches him a lesson, and so those scars become a daily and ever-present reminder of what life is like on that planet for him, and they serve to recommit to his mission every time he looks in the mirror.
Right. How was the character written on the page, and how much could you shape that character? How much of it is your creation?
Well, I think that I could never say that the character is certainly purely my creation. Jim wrote a very vivid character, and I think that I had a significant part in the nuances of the character, in bringing some of the gravity and some of the depth to it. I felt it was really important that the character have a very strong, when he entered a room, that it be a strong entry, that because his image is very important to that planet. He represents strength, he represents security, he represents protection, and he wants to be able to convey that wherever he is. And so that was something that I've tried to bring to it.
If I had to compare him to another character from film history, Robert Duvall's character in Apocalypse Now would come to mind. Mm-hmm. It's like he has kind of like the same fearlessness in the face of danger, and he seems very protective of his men as well, but he's misguided.
Well, he's I suppose so. I suppose in the larger context of the story, he is. I mean, that's his function in the story, and yet at the same time, he's there's something kind of intimidating, something reprehensible, something sort of horrific about him, and at the same time, there's part of you that would like to be him.
Yes. And it's very obvious that you certainly love that character. Do you have to love the characters you have to play?
I don't know any other way to do it. I don't know that you have to. It might be a viable approach to just loathe the character that you play. Yeah. I think, but you need, whoever it is you're playing, whatever it is you're playing, you need to find a doorway in.
Yes.
And I think that requires, I don't know, loving is not the word maybe I would use, but certainly embracing it is.
Yes. Can you recall your first meeting with Jim Cameron?
My first meeting with Jim Cameron was many years ago.
For the movie.
For Aliens. Yeah.
Okay.
And I recall having met him, but don't really recall too much. He recalls the meeting much better than I do. And I'm glad that it was important that he did remember the meeting, I think. But our first meeting for this film was on the phone, and we had a long talk, and it was very, very, I knew he was going to call me at a certain time, and I was thinking, gee, what are we going to talk about? I knew we'd talk about the film, but what are we going to say? It just fell into a wonderful conversation, and we talked about a number of things for probably a half hour before we got around to Avatar, and by then we were just talking.